If you could see a map of my brain from 40 years ago, it would look like a battlefield, scarred, chaotic, and utterly exhausted. Not by war in the traditional sense, but by an internal conflict that raged day and night without ceasefire. The trenches were carved by anxiety, the smoke was the fog of overthinking, and the casualties, peace, presence, joy, things I didn't even realize I was losing until they were long gone. Back then, my mind was never quiet. It was crowded with thoughts about everything and nothing all at once. I worried about the mortgage, as if the weight of numbers on a page could be lifted by sheer mental strain. I obsessed over whether my boss liked my presentation, rehearsing every word I'd said, imagining critiques that may or may not have existed. I replayed a casual comment a neighbor made at a barbecue, something offhand, probably forgotten by them within minutes, and turned it into proof that I wasn't good enough, smart enough, likable enough. I worried about my hair thinning, as though full follicles were the key to fulfillment. I fretted over my car's engine, fearing breakdowns that might disrupt a schedule already too rigid to allow for spontaneity. And perhaps most absurdly, I worried about keeping up with people I didn't even like, measuring my worth against theirs, comparing salaries, vacations, appearances, homes, all while knowing deep down that their lives held no real significance to mine. For 80 years, I was a professional worrier. Worry wasn't just something I did, it was who I believed I was. I wore it like a badge of responsibility, thinking that if I worried enough, somehow, magically, I could prevent bad things from happening. I convinced myself that worry was the price I had to pay for success, for safety, for love. That if I stayed vigilant, if I carried the burden, I could control the uncontrollable. But standing here now at 80 years old, looking back across the decades, I realized something so profound it nearly brought me to tears. None of it meant anything. None of it. 99% of the things that kept me awake at 3 in the morning, heart pounding, sheets tangled, mind racing through worst-case scenarios, never happened. They were phantoms, projections, fabrications of a fearful imagination. And the 1% that did come to pass? Worrying didn't make them easier to face. In fact, it made them worse, because when those real storms arrived, I was already depleted. I had spent so much energy preparing for disasters that never came that I had nothing left to meet the ones that actually did. I traded my peace for a pile of nothing. I traded my joy for shadows. And now, with time running short, I want to speak to you, the version of me at 40 or 30 or even 20, who is still caught in that cycle. Please, before you spend another night staring at the ceiling, listen. Let me show you what you can stop worrying about right now, so you don't reach 80 with a heart full of regret, wondering where your life went. The heaviest thing I ever carried wasn't money, or responsibility, or grief. It was the weight of your eyes. Not yours specifically, but theirs. The collective them. The neighbors, the colleagues, the strangers at the grocery store. The faces in the crowd whose opinions I imagined mattered. For decades, I lived under the illusion that people were watching me closely, judging me, measuring me. I wanted to be seen as stable, successful, intelligent, put together. So I performed. I bought clothes I didn't like to impress people who weren't even looking. I smiled through conversations I didn't care about. I held back my true opinions because I feared causing a ripple, making waves, being seen as difficult or different. I shaped my choices, not by what I wanted, but by how I thought they'd be perceived. I lived inside a cage built entirely from other people's expectations, and the cruelest part? The cage had no guard. I locked myself in. But here's the truth you only learn at 80. Nobody cares. Not in the unkind way. It's not that people dislike you or wish you ill. It's simply that everyone is too busy wrestling with their own insecurities, their own fears, their own desperate need to be accepted, to spend more than a fleeting second thinking about you. The man who criticized your presentation? He was worried his job was at risk. The woman who seemed indifferent at the party? She was battling loneliness. The neighbor who glanced at your lawn? He didn't notice it at all. I spent 30 years trimming hedges, mowing grass, planting flowers, all to impress people who didn't know my middle name. I wasted my freedom trying to please a crowd that wasn't even there. And now, at 80, I see it clearly. Your reputation is a ghost. It haunts you with whispers of judgment that exist only in your mind. Don't let it steal your authenticity. Don't trade your truth for an image. Let go of the need to be perceived a certain way. Speak your mind. Wear what makes you comfortable. Say no without apology. Walk away from situations that drain you. You are not here to live up to someone else's standard. You are here to live your life. I also lived in constant fear of the future, of the what-ifs that loomed like storm clouds always just beyond the horizon. What if the economy crashes? What if I lose my job? What if I get sick? What if my spouse leaves? What if my children fail? What if I fail? I treated my life like a bunker. I was so busy reinforcing the walls, saving money, climbing the ladder, avoiding risks, that I forgot to look out the window. I missed the sunlight. I missed the view. I missed the simple beauty of being alive in this moment right now. And when the storms finally came, and yes, life does send storms, they never looked like the ones I had spent years preparing for. They came from directions I hadn't anticipated. A friend's sudden illness, a betrayal from someone I trusted, a financial loss due to forces beyond my control. The pain was real, the grief was deep. But do you know what helped me survive them? It wasn't worry, it wasn't preparation, it was resilience, it was connection, it was love. Worrying is like walking around with an umbrella raised on a perfectly sunny day because you're afraid it might rain. You miss the warmth of the sun, the blue sky, the birds singing, and when the storm eventually hits, you're still wet. Worse, you're tired. You've been carrying that umbrella for so long, your arms ache, and for what? At 80, I can say with certainty, I survived every single storm life threw at me, but I didn't survive the worry. The worry ate me from the inside. It stole years of sleep, health, laughter, intimacy. It made me irritable, distant, anxious. It robbed me of the ability to be present with the people I loved most. So stop rehearsing tragedies that haven't happened. Stop living in a future that doesn't exist. The human mind is powerful. It can imagine both miracles and nightmares. But when we feed the nightmares, we give them power. Instead, practice gratitude, practice presence, practice trust. Trust that if hard times come, you will handle them, just as you always have. Money was another altar I worshipped at for far too long. I was constantly checking the bank balance, the square footage of my home, the performance of my investments. I believed there was a magic number, a threshold of wealth, where the worry would finally stop. I told myself just a little more, then I'll be safe, then I can relax. But the peak is a lie, because the more you have, the more there is to lose. The more things you accumulate, the more things you have to worry about. I worried about getting the money. Then I worried about keeping it. Then I worried about inflation, market crashes, thieves, lawsuits, family members who might take advantage. I became a prisoner of my own success. At 80, I've realized something revolutionary. Enough is not a number. Enough is a state of mind. Today I have less than I did at 60. My house is smaller, my car is older, my wardrobe is simpler, but I am infinitely wealthier because I stopped chasing more. I stopped letting money define my worth. The luxury upgrades, the status symbols, the designer labels, they were just anchors. They weighed me down. When I let them go, I finally started to float. I discovered that joy doesn't come from possessions. It comes from presence, from connection, from being able to sit quietly, without distraction, and feel the breeze on your skin. Don't spend your life building a mountain of things that won't keep you warm at night. No one lies on their deathbed wishing they'd worked more hours or bought a bigger TV. They wish they'd laughed more, loved more, been more, and then there were my children. Oh, how I worried about them. Their grades, their friends, their choices, their futures. I thought that if I worried enough, I could somehow curate a perfect life for them, that my anxiety was a form of protection, a kind of love. But it wasn't love. It was fear disguised as care. My worry was a burden to them. It made them feel like they had to be perfect to be worthy. It made them cautious, anxious, afraid of failure. They didn't need a father who hovered. They needed a father who was present. They didn't need me to solve every problem. They needed to see me navigate my own life with courage and grace. I worried about whether they'd get into the right college, while missing the chance to sit on the floor and build Legos with them. I stressed over report cards while forgetting to ask about their dreams. Now they're grown, and they don't remember the things I worried about. They remember the tension. They remember the stress, but they also remember the moments I let go, the times I danced in the kitchen, told silly jokes, took them on unplanned adventures. They remember joy. So choose joy, not because life is easy, but because it's short. Your children won't carry your anxieties with them. They'll carry your presence, your laughter, your ability to find wonder in small things. That's the legacy that matters. And what about the present? I missed so much of it. Because I was always somewhere else. In the past, reliving regrets, or in the future, dreading disasters. I missed the way the light changed in autumn, golden and soft, painting the trees in fire. I missed the taste of a home-cooked meal because I was checking my watch, calculating how many minutes I had before the next meeting. I missed the sound of my wife's laughter because I was mentally reviewing a bill, counting costs instead of blessings. At 80, Those small things are the only things that have any lasting meaning. The taste of a ripe peach warm from the sun, the sound of a bird singing at dawn, the feeling of clean sheets against your skin, the comfort of a dog curled at your feet. These are the miracles, these are the treasures. I spent 80 years looking past them, chasing after big nothings, titles, achievements, approvals, while the real magic unfolded quietly, daily, unnoticed. Don't be a tourist in your own life. Don't spend your days looking at the map, planning the route, obsessing over the destination, while missing the view right in front of you. Stop, breathe, look around. What do you see? What do you hear? Who is beside you? That is your life, not the future, not the past. This, now. I am 80 years old. My time for worrying is over. Not because I have no problems. Life still brings challenges, but because I've finally learned that worry is a thief. It steals your time. It steals your health. It steals your capacity to love. It doesn't protect you. It paralyzes you. It doesn't prepare you. It exhausts you. It doesn't make you stronger. It makes you smaller. I spent 80 years worrying about things that meant nothing. Please don't do that. When you feel that familiar knot in your stomach, that tightening in your chest, pause. Ask yourself one question. Will this matter when I'm 80? If the answer is no, and 99 times out of 100 it is, let it go, release it. Empty your hands of the nothing so you can finally hold on to what is real. Hold your child's hand. Call your aging parent. Sit in silence with your partner. Watch the sunrise without checking your phone. Say, I love you even when it feels unnecessary. Laugh loudly, even if you're alone. These are the things that last. You don't have to wait until 80 to wake up. You can start today, right now, this breath, this moment. Let go of the need to be perfect. Let go of the fear of judgment. Let go of the illusion of control. Breathe. And when you do, know this. You are enough. You have always been enough. You don't need to earn love. You don't need to prove your worth. You are already whole, so live like it. Before the years slip away, before the people you love are gone, before the small somethings become memories you can't retrieve, stop worrying. Start living. And if this reached you, if it stirred something deep, then share it, pass it on. Help another tired soul find their way back to peace. Tell someone, I'm letting go of beyond today. Maybe it's the need to be liked. Maybe it's the obsession with productivity. Maybe it's the fear of failure. Whatever it is, name it, release it. We don't have to carry these burdens alone. We can help each other let go. God bless you. May you find peace. May you find joy. May you find yourself, not in the noise, but in the quiet. And above all, breathe.